So tell me, Steve, is it just me, or does it feel like forever since we've seen MotoGP bikes go around a track?
It feels like an absolute age, mate.
I
It really
honestly
does.
can't believe it. Like, it really wasn't that long ago the season ended, and yet
No,
it just feels like forever now.
it feels like months and months and months. Worse than the beginning of lockdown when we were waiting for it to start.
Yeah, that's strangely true.
Yeah, I thought about it earlier actually because I was looking through my planner, deleting off on the telly all the stuff that I'd watched. And I was thinking, God, looking at some of the dates, thinking that feels like months and months and months ago now. I know it was, but in like terms of how things feel, because sometimes we talk about the start of the season and say it feels only like yesterday. At the minute, the end of the season feels like eons ago.
Yeah, it really does. It's not even been a month, but it feels like a really long time at this point.
It does. It's crazy. And the worst thing is, now I'm just wishing my life away, going, come on, March.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, go on, next season, what we got? Come on, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. At the same time, I'm not wishing March on because that's the big 4-0. So I'm like, let's not get there.
Oh, is it the big 4-0 in March?
It is the big 4-0 in March.
Oh, that's fucking exciting.
That's not fucking exciting.
It's all right, mate. You're still younger than Rossi, so I mean, you're always going to be younger than Rossi. That's how age works. But there's no need to worry about it.
No, there is something really bad about when you look at the age of riders and you start looking at some of the youngsters, thinking, "Yeah, I could be your dad."
So I was thinking this the other day, actually. What with the spate of retirements that we were having of riders recently, like Cal Crutchlow going, Dovi going. There's not that many riders left now that were competing when I first started watching MotoGP. And I've only been watching for like 9 or 10 years now. But it's very close to all of the riders I initially started watching all being gone. And that's going to feel like a really strange era of MotoGP to me. But that's happened to you already, right?
It's happened to me twice.
See, that's mental.
In some cases, obviously, like Rossi is still there in GP, but like back in the days when I used to watch world superbikes, British superbikes religiously.
Yeah.
Some of those guys have been long gone. You know, some have hung on for a while.
Chris Stalker.
Yeah, he went on and on.
Yeah.
Bless him. He was like a Duracell battery, that boy. But yeah, once Rossi is out of it, I will have seen 3 different changes over 3 different genres of racing.
Wow.
It's incredible. You start looking at some guys' careers, and he's thinking, "Oh my God, you started racing after I started watching."
Yeah. You've been a fan for longer than a lot of these guys have been GP riders.
Yeah, or some of them alive.
Yeah.
Some of the younger ones in Moto3, it's like, oh my God.
Well, certainly. I mean, the guys in Moto3, I am older than everyone in Moto3 and probably everyone in Moto2. No, maybe not. How old's Tom Luthi?
Luthi's in his 30s, I believe.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'm not older than all the Moto2 riders. You, however, are, Steve, I'm afraid.
Yes, let's not go down that road. Steve's getting older by the day. That's how age works.
That, again, is how age works. That's exactly it. Shall we dive into the show before we end up planning your birthday party here and now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. I'm Tim, he's Steve, and this is for the love of MotoGP. So we have had a little bit of news this week, Steve. Not a lot of news, but we now know that Gresini are getting rid of Aprilia, and they are going to be a fully fledged independent team with the Gresini name again come 2022.
Yes, which we've actually been saying for a while. They needed to sort of split up and go their separate ways. I think it'll do Aprilia good.
I think it will do Aprilia a hell of a lot of good. And I think it will do Gresini a lot of good.
Yeah, I think it will benefit both sides of the equation. Aprilia will get that independence I think they need and clarity. Because we've both said in the past, there must be so many doors and windows to open and go through and break arms. And, you know, just had to get that one in there.
The thing is, I'm listening to you talking. I'm like, yep, he's making a lot of sense. A lot of sense. Doors, windows, yeah, it all makes sense. What's he talking about breaking an arm for? And then it all clicked into place.
It all drops in there.
Yeah, so I ruined the flow of what you were talking by taking a little while to get the joke, so that's my bad.
That's fine, mate. That's absolutely fine. It takes me an age sometimes. Anyway, yeah, clarity. They both need clarity. Independence, go their own ways. Aprilia will have the decision making, sole decision making. They'll pick up a big name sponsor. They'll get some back in. That'll be fine. Grossini, free agents. They're gonna do their own thing.
Well, and Grossini aren't. It's not like they don't know the way around the paddock. They've had a MotoGP team for longer, I think, than anyone else. I think they're the longest running independent team.
I think they are. Yeah, I think you're right.
And they've got teams in Moto2, in Moto3, in Moto E. They're kind of across the board. Fausto Grossini, the owner, is very well known in the paddock, and he's not going to have trouble getting sponsors and signing a deal with another manufacturer. No.
We both said just before we started recording, we have our ideas who that'll be with. But we will wait and see. There's no sort of talk yet of when an announcement will happen.
No, it'll be at some point next year, won't it? It'll be during the silly season at some point.
I think so, yeah. Something will kick off, and then we'll have an answer.
What's your money on? Who do you reckon it's going to be?
Suzuki.
You reckon they're the Grossini Suzuki satellite team?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not so sure. I actually expect them to be running the Avintia Ducatis.
Yes.
I can see them running year-old Ducatis because I'm pretty sure the Sepang racing team will end up with Suzuki's once VR46 come in and take the Yamahas.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of shifting because we've seen this week as well the VR46 backed Ducatis.
One Ducati.
One Ducati. I was going to say one Ducati. I wasn't thinking it through, which looks fantastic.
It does look really nice, doesn't it? It looks really good. I did think that Luca Marini looked a lot like he's just fallen out of a really lanky boy band, though.
He does look like he's just got booted out of a boy band. Maybe that's his part-time job. Maybe
you'll see him on X Factor next week.
Yeah, he might just be Britain's Got Talent, or wherever he's from. Somewhere's got talent.
Tavulia's got talent.
Tavulia's Got Talent. Yeah, they've already capped that one for life.
Yeah, fair point.
Oh, damn it. I just dropped my pen down the side of the sofa, and that's not good.
Poor show, sir. Poor show.
Poor show, indeed. Oh, no. I got it back. I rescued it. Hasselhoffed it.
Happy days. Right, so let's pull this podcast back, shall we?
Let's do it.
And shall we talk about what we're here to talk about today? We've talked about the MotoGP news. That's done and dusted. Grossini, Aprilia, end of. So this week we are going through our rider scores for the year. So scores out of 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. This will be riders who have completed at least one race or more. So everyone that swung a leg over a MotoGP bike this year except Marc Marquez, because can't really rate Marc Marquez for this year's performance, so not even going to try.
No, I was thinking about this earlier. How would we rate him? And I came up with a little idea, which I'll run past you quick.
Okay, so after I said we're not going to rate him, we're about to rate him.
Yeah, basically. But not in the official list. We'll do a sidestep here.
We'll do a sidestep, because we all know that for the love of MotoGP, official rider score list is coveted among MotoGP fans and journalists alike. So we need to say...
Mate. This is the list they want to be in.
The list they want to be in.
Yeah, they want to be on here, This is where it all matters. Oh, don't worry about the championship. This is the list it comes down to.
Which, funnily enough, is just going to be read out in championship order.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, okay. Right, anyway, Marc Marquez, let's go.
Right, just a very quick one on Marquez. I couldn't work out how we score him. 0 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. But for what's happened this year, I was still going to give him an 8.
You were going to give him an 8 out of 10?
Yeah.
He's not scored a single point.
Yeah, he's not scored a single point, not competed in one single race, but he has dominated every piece of social media news, every single race, overshadowed almost every other story that's happened, and still just sat at home with his arm in a sling.
I mean, as much as I love the logic, because to be fair, You're right. We have spoken about him a lot. He's ridden 20 laps this year in a race. I guess he rode a few more than that in practice, etc., etc. And he scored 0 points. He's had 0 pole positions. He finished stone last in the championship, and he has still dominated everything we've talked about. But I'm not giving him an 8 out of 10, mate.
This is why I thought, when you said we wouldn't put him in the official list, I was like, yeah, that's good, but I just wanted to pop that one in there.
Yeah, it's a fair point, actually, because he has been. It just shows the dominating force that he is within motorcycle racing, doesn't it? That even without scoring a single point, doing nothing all year, his name probably is still the most mentioned name in MotoGP, probably writing and MotoGP broadcasts. Like, he's just spoken about constantly.
Exactly. As soon as that happened, that story dominated every single round. Everyone's thoughts were on it all the time. And, there's a lot of people that we will rate differently because he's not there, let's say, for instance. But yeah, every single round, Marc Marquez. The arm saga.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe that's what we'll know this as in the future. 2020. What happened in 2020? Well, that was the Marc Marquez and the arm saga.
That was a really good look. Look, we've got to record this. That was a perfect stare off into the distance there.
That was quite dramatic. Yeah, I often forget that. Sometimes I forget that even you can see me, and I just start waving my arms around and talking, and then I remember, oh shit, I am on camera. And then other times, because I assume I'm on camera, which means the world can see me, so I get a bit dramatic. And that was one of those moments where I forgot that it was only you that could see me and not everyone listening.
Now, that one was the hero look at the end of the movie.
The Horatio from CSI Miami taking off his glasses.
I never watched it.
Okay, that was a lost reference on you then. So should we dive into the list?
Let's go for the list.
Cool. So 25th place this year, with a best finish of 19th and scoring 0 points across the season, or the part season, was Lorenzo Savadori.
He only stepped in at the last 3 rounds, didn't he, for Bradley Smith in that sort of weird switch around. So he was never going to set the world dramatically on fire, was he?
No, not at all. Although, to be fair, if we're going to then talk about his entire year, he did crush Italian superbikes to get this Aprilia ride. So he's actually had a really good year for him, I guess. He's gone from Italian superbikes, dominated it, won it, jumped onto the Aprilia. So for his personal career year, I guess this has been fucking solid and probably like a 9 out of 10.
He's at home right now with all his trophies going, smashed it.
Yeah, and actually I guess he did. And I was getting really prepared to give him just almost 0 points and just being like, nah, he didn't really have a good shot at it. But nah, he's had a banging year. I'm going to get behind him and give him a solid 8 out of 10. His MotoGP performance is not great, but from a personal level, great year.
Yeah, exactly. Boy did well.
Boy did good. That's all we can say on that one.
Aye. Which moved us up nicely to Mika Kallio.
24th place overall, best finish of 17th and still 0 points.
Yeah.
But only competed in 1 round to replace the injured Ika Lecuona. That was on the Tech 3 KTM. So finished 17th. Like, I can't fault him for not scoring any points all year because he only took part in 1 race. So
yeah, exactly. You're not going to hop on that thing and suddenly get to grips with it over 1 weekend.
No, although that said, do you remember when he was the full-time test rider for them before Danny Pedrosa came in, and he did a few wildcard performances and outperformed both Pole and Bradley Smith at the time?
This is true, yeah. That's not a day you want, is it? If you're the team rider and this dude steps up and there's all of a sudden like blitzing you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think actually, expectation-wise, I expected him to jump back on the bike and do very well, but he didn't really. So I don't know. I think we'll probably just go down the middle and give him a 5.
Oh, yeah, I'll split that straight down the middle.
Oh no, I'm deleting things on my computer without realising I'm going to stop touching stuff now.
Don't touch stuff, don't touch it.
So 23rd place overall is Michele Pirro, only competed in 2 rounds, replacing the injured Bagnaia for the Pramac squad. Best finished at 12th, scored 4 points.
Not bad.
Oh, it's not bad at all, is it? I think it's the best of the riders that only competed in a few rounds.
Yeah, I
Arguably
like.
had the best machinery to do it with.
Yeah, exactly. I like watching Pirro race, but he makes me quite nervous as well after that off at Mugello.
Oh, that's
Oh,
terrifying. It's funny, isn't it? Because when I see him, and it's only when I see him on a red Ducati, but it's not even when I see him
mm.
on a Pramac bike, but that thought still crosses my mind how scary that crash was. So imagine if, although he says he doesn't remember any of it, so maybe it's not scary for him at all.
No, he's just like, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
That unwritten rule, if you can't really remember it, it never really happened.
Yeah,
Um,
funnily enough, the amount I've been drinking recently, Steve, that's what these podcasts are getting like. I'm not sure they ever happen anymore.
I love the fact that I received the text, like, about an hour before we started recording. It's like, I'm on the Baileys.
Yeah, I've started already, mate.
I was like, oh, Jesus. It's going to be... Oh, I was like, a question. What's happened to the Iraq stuff?
The Arak. Oh, that's still in the fridge, but it's Christmas now, so I can drink Baileys.
It's Christmas. I like you thinking, but
Yeah.
no, not Baileys.
It's one of my favourite drinks, man.
Yeah, it just belongs in a cheesecake.
I had a Bailey's coffee earlier because I was feeling a little sleepy, and I thought, what better to perk me up for the podcast than caffeine and booze? So that was great. And now I'm just drinking it by the half pint.
Nice. I did notice earlier on. I was expecting like a little tumbler, but no, a whole half-pint glass came up. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, there's no point fucking about, is there? Like, you're gonna do things, do it properly.
Go big or go home. I'm just sticking to the Fosters this week because I've had a hell of a week. So I'm just, we'll have a beer this week.
Not on the orange juice today, properly on the beer. Oh, you got the orange juice as well. Nice, that's a way.
I've got a whole drinks cabinet over here, mate. Look, there's juice as well.
Fucking hell, mate, you are on it today. So you could take a swig of beer, bit of orange juice, bit of fruit and barley. Happy days.
Yeah. Although we have to go beer, squash, OJ, because beer followed by OJ is a bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't combine the two really anyway. I don't really like combining orange juice with alcohol full stop. I like orange juice the next day. Orange juice is a nice beginnings for hangover cure, which will bring us on to nicely segue us into a message we got. But we'll do that later. But remember orange juice, everyone. Remember orange
OJ.
juice. Anyway, 22nd overall in the standings this year. Tito Rabat, best finish of 11th. We didn't rate Michele Pirro, did we? I'm just going to go down the middle and give him probably... No, I think I'm going to give him a 6. Scored points as a stand-in rider. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, 6 is fair. We'll give him a 6. Solid 6.
Cool. And then Tito Rabat, as I was saying, best finish of 11th, 10 points in total across the year. Rabat had a terrible year, man. I didn't even realise he'd scored 10 points.
No, he was a complete ghost almost this year.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I like Tito. But yeah, we saw so little of him. So little. Even when he had like a good finish, you still saw so little of him.
Well, we say a good finish, man. His best finish wasn't even in the top 10 this year.
No, but for him.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have been good for him 2 years ago.
No, 2 years ago, we'd have been saying it's a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. So it's strange. And I mean, he's never performed amazingly in MotoGP, but he did have a phase of being just inside the top 10. You know, he's never been on good machinery. But this year was something else. He had an awful year. I think he's probably very glad to be just getting off the MotoGP bike and fucking off elsewhere.
I think so. Has there been any announcement yet of what he's doing? I don't think there has there?
I haven't heard, but I'm not as clued into what goes on in the Superbike paddock as I used to be. So I don't know what's happening really outside of the MotoGP world.
I don't think there's been anything yet. I haven't heard of anything. So I'm sure he'll secure a seat somewhere.
I'm certain he will, because he's a good rider. Plus, he brings a shitload of money with him.
He does bring a hell of a ton of money with him. But we'll see. I completely agree. I think he will be glad to see the back of this year.
Yeah.
Shame to lose him off the grid, but I think that curtain is finally closed.
Yeah, I agree.
For the best reasons.
Yeah, and I'm not all that sad to see him go, to be honest. I would have been sad to see him go if it was, the week after he smashed his leg to bits at Silverstone. I'd have been sad to see him go then. But because it's just been a shit ride since then, and he's not performed as a Moto2 champion, really, no. I don't think. He's never been given the equipment to do so, but yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy to see him go. I think it was a pretty shit year. I probably can't give him more than a 3 out of 10 at best. No, not even that. I reckon he's a 2.
No, I think I had a 3 on my little 2.5 actually on my little bit of paper. So yeah, let's go 2.
We'll go with a 2 then. Poor old Tito. I'm not writing any of these down. I meant to, but it feels like it's too late now. Maybe I'll start now. Tito 2. Bradley Smith finished 21st overall. A best finish of 12th. 12 points in total. On the Aprilia, can we expect much better? I guess the answer is probably yes, because his teammate did do quite a lot better.
That is the thing. If you've got a teammate that could continuously does better, then you're going to naturally compare the two.
Yeah.
But he's a test rider as well, so it's not like he doesn't know the bike. Awkward situation to be in. You want the guy to do well, especially because we followed him for a long time. So Bradley come right through the ranks.
Yeah.
But standard Bradley, should we say? I had him down as a 4.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with a 4, to be fair. Although it's maybe a 3, I don't know. It's an interesting comparison to draw between him and Tito Rabat, because I feel like everyone has been, much like myself, been quite happy to see Tito go. We're not that fussed. Like you say, the curtain has fallen on his MotoGP career now.
Absolutely.
But he didn't perform much worse than Bradley Smith. And everyone is a bit shocked to see Bradley Smith being ousted for the last 3 rounds of the year. Everyone's a bit shocked that, oh, God, maybe he won't get the ride next year. But no one's shocked about that about Tito. Tito actually had a better finish. His best finish of 11th was better than Smith's best finish of 12th. And Smith only got 2 more points across the season, which, well, let's talk about over an entire season. 2 points is nothing.
No, absolutely not. That is just a pebble in the water. It's nothing. Can make it break a championship sometimes.
No, I mean, that's fair.
But yeah, to compare the two, I don't know. Bradley had 3 less rounds. But,
yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
I don't know. Very similar. But like you say, everyone kicked up a bit of fuss over Bradley being ousted, but no one did Tito. So I would rate them the same, I think.
Yeah, so what are we going with 2s then?
2s.
2s it is. Ooh, Bradley Smith took a bit of demotion from compared to your 4 you tried to give him. I apologise.
No, that's all right. When you start talking about it, it's like, yeah, actually, that makes sense.
Okay, so moving on, we have Ika Lecuona is next. 27 points in total, putting him in 20th in the championship. Best finish of 9th. I actually think Lecuona had quite a solid year, but it was better in my head than when I saw the raw numbers.
I think that happens a lot. When you start looking at the paper sort of comparison, you start realising, hang on, that's not that great. But then when you start looking at like best finish of 7th, total points 27th over the course of the year, he had missed the last round of the year at Portimao.
He missed the last couple of rounds, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Sorry, yes, he did.
I think he might have missed the last 3 actually.
I can't remember off the top of my head. Definitely 2, but whatever. Not for what he did. I remember sort of being quite impressed. Throughout the season with him. So.
Yeah, it's funny though. I'm looking now back through his race stats for the year, and it was DNF, 9th, 10th, 14th, DNF, 14th, 15th, 14th, 9th, 3 non-starts. So actually, he regularly scored points when he finished. But when he wasn't, the rest of the time, he was just crashing or not finishing for some reason.
Very 50-50 then. But that's a good sign if he could keep it on the bike, regularly scoring points. If he went for the whole season on that curve of regularly scoring points, he'd have, let's say, let's just say, for instance, double the points.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Which would put him quite a long way up the order.
Oh, if he doubled his points, he'd be around 15th, 16th.
Exactly, not bad.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, I don't think he had a terrible season. This is his first season in MotoGP.
Yeah, we got to remember he's a rookie.
Yeah, I don't think it's too bad. Maybe for a rookie, 6 out of 10, maybe.
Yeah, we'll go 6. Go a solid 6 for him.
Yeah, that's okay. That's better than I thought it was going to be at the start, to be honest.
Aye.
Stefan Bradl then in 19th. Best finish of 7th. Total points 27 again. I'm not sure that's right. I'm just going to have to check that I didn't copy the numbers down wrong. That is completely right. 27 points again. So he got the extra spot, 19th. Due to count back to his best finish being 7th.
Aye.
So he started the season I mean, you'd be hard pressed to describe him as anything but shit at the start of the year.
Yeah, he had a torrid time. A lot of people were starting to sort of say, should Honda have looked elsewhere to bring a replacement rider in?
Yeah.
Which I think was completely justified. You know, we saw him have some terrible results, some bad performances, and then, you know, slowly, very slowly through the season, he started to get better.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I sort of, the same as you, like, I really remember him picking up towards the end of the season, getting some good results. But again, when I look at it, he scored from Catalonia onwards. He scored a 17th, an 8th, a 17th, a 12th, a 12th, a 14th, and a 7th. So, again, just scraping points. Didn't really do anything special. And I can't help but compare him to Iker Lecuona, who came in as a rookie on the KTM. Stefan Bradl's come in as quite a veteran, a test rider on the Repsol Honda, and done the same as him across the season.
Yeah. No, it's a hard one to call, isn't it? You know, we know he was brought out of the news conference room.
Yeah, fair. I mean, he was a commentator, wasn't he, full time, as well as his testing roles for Honda.
Yeah, so I know he stepped on probably one of the hardest bikes on the grid to actually ride and ride well.
Yeah.
You know, you compare that to his teammate, and he only, you know, I think they had very similar seasons. Very, very similar seasons. So
I'm not so sure. I think Alex Marquez has had a much better season than Stefan Bradl. But like you say, him coming out of commentary, he's not a full-time racer. He is a test rider. Yeah, he's used to the bike, but he's not used to competition anymore. So maybe it wasn't as bad. It did pick up towards the end of the season with a couple of good results. So I don't know, maybe a 5. I don't think I can rate him as well as Iker, because I think Lecuona just had a better season. So I think I'd be happy giving Bradl a 5.
Yeah, I'll go a solid 5 for him.
Yeah. Cool.
Be happy with it.
Yeah, certainly. Which brings us to another HRC man in Cal Crutchlow in 18th place. His best finish was 8th. He only scored 32 points across the year. Was this his worst season ever in MotoGP?
I believe so, yeah. Crutchlow standards, that's not a good year.
Oh, I mean, by Crutchlow standards, I'm not giving you. I cannot bring myself to give him any more than a 1.
No. Over the course of the year, I mean, hard thing to look at. I mean, the guy was injured for how many rounds?
Most of them. And the ones he didn't turn up injured to, he left injured.
Yeah. I mean, he's a complicated one to call, actually, because he's at no point through this season did we have, should we say, we had a fit Cal Crutchlow riding?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was either injured or suffering the after effects of injury for the entire year.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a tough one. I'm sticking with a 1. I
really want to give him higher, and I'm trying to think of arguments too.
Yeah, that's got the problem, because that is a bit how I felt when I was thinking about it. Is like, I do want to give him a higher score, but I can't bring myself to do it, because I really don't think he deserves it. And I think a lot of it isn't his fault, but it's just a bit shit. I think his career has come to a natural end, I think, and this year really has shown that.
Yeah, I think he's been a very, very good rider, and he said himself he thinks he performed better than he ever expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of any reason to really give him any higher. I'm sitting here desperately trying to think of something off the hip, but it's like not coming.
No, that's the problem. He has been blighted with injury without a doubt, but I think I think this year was just a man whose career is over, and it's not like he was riding for a paycheck, because I'm sure he wanted the decent results at the end of the year, but it's certainly not the year he really wanted to go out on, and I can't bring myself to give him anything but a 1. Sadly, no. I am not glad to see him go. That's the wrong term, but I'm glad that we won't be watching him suffer like this for another year. It's not going to be like a slow decline. It was this one bad year, and I'm out. He's not doing the Danny Pedrosa, not doing the Jorge Lorenzo. Just bail out now and go and do something else.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. One will do. One it is.
Oh, one it is. So that brings us to Aleix Espargaro then in 17th place overall. He has his best finish of 8th across the season and 42 points.
I really like Aleix. I really do like Aleix. I always want to see him do better though.
That's the kind of the problem with Aleix. But the one shot he did have to do better on the Suzuki all those years ago, he didn't really take it, did he? He's just kind of floating around. He's good enough for Aprilia, and arguably better than any of the Aprilia riders he's been alongside in his time there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think this was a pretty good season for him, all things considered.
He, at times, we've seen like some of his qualifying pace, free practice pace, has been insane. We know that Aprilia over one lap in his hands is a hell of a machine.
Well, that's it. We know he's just very good at it, isn't he? Just like holding his breath and just getting on with it for one lap and just putting it all on the line and getting it done.
Yeah, but that's part of the problem. We know that he can really grit his teeth and go for it. But when we really want him to, it doesn't quite.
It just doesn't hold together over race distance, does it?
No, and it's not just him. Part of that is is Aprilia as well. I just want to see him do better.
Yeah, it's certainly the bike. But I mean, he's been on other bikes. He's been with other manufacturers. We're not talking about his entire career here. So this season, I reckon he was for 6.
Yeah, I'll go a 6.
Yeah.
I'll go a solid 6.
So 16th place overall in the year with a best finish of 2nd place. So it's our first podium finisher. I can't believe someone that scored a podium is in 16th overall. But weird things have happened. Only scored the one podium. And 47 points across the season, Francesco Bagnaia. I actually think this was a really shit year for Paco.
Yeah, I really do as well. Had some good results.
Well, had a good result, really.
A good result, and managed to bag himself a factory ride off the back of that result.
Yeah, I mean, he did have a good run, didn't he? Because he blew an engine out of another podium position. I think he had a crash from a different podium position. So it's not like he didn't have pace all year. He just only managed to really put it together for one race.
Yeah. Not a rookie. Was there last year.
And actually... I was quite disappointed with him last year, to be fair.
We both were last year as well, being the current and dominating Moto2 champion.
Yeah, exactly. And it looked like at the start of this year, at least, that he was going to, step up into that role of okay, I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to prove to Ducati I'm worth putting on the red team next year. I need a ride next year. I've got to step up, and he did, and he got the factory ride, and then it just went away from him, didn't it?
I mean, he missed 3 races in total.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, missed the Czech Republic, both Austrian
rounds. Yeah.
But the rest of the time, it just wasn't that great.
No,
it
sadly
wasn't that great. I mean, how many other crashes apart from that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 non-starts, 5 crashes.
Yeah. So not good at all.
No, there's a lot of... All right, he spent 3 races out through injury. But not a great season.
No, I think I'd be hard-pressed to give him... The podium really helps in the fact that he got, again, a bit like the Savadori thing, on a personal level, he got a factory ride out of this year. So it can't be the worst year ever. But I think that factory ride and the podium probably got to give him, I don't know, I want to say a 4, but maybe a 5 at a push. Probably a 4, actually, in my head.
Yeah, I would go 4. We'll settle with 4.
Yeah. I can't work out whether I'm being very harsh on the riders so far, or just whether they've just been a bit shit.
It's an odd season. This is the first time we've actually ever done this, isn't it?
Yes.
And we've picked a very odd season to try and do it in. I mean, you look at our next person up, Rossi.
Yes, quite.
There's 2 rounds through COVID. Crashed out of 3-4 rounds.
It was 3 on the bounce, but 5 across the season.
Yeah, a torrid time for him. Really has not had a good time for Mr. Rossi. Where was his best finish? It was
Third place was his best finish and his only podium of the year.
yeah, but the rest of the time, not his form. Not you know.
No, not at all. He scored 66 points across the season, which some very quick maths tells me is around 5 points a race, less than that.
Yeah, it's a very quick 4.3 something. I believe. It's not very quick maths.
I mean, your very quick maths got you into decimal points, mate, so it was way better than mine.
I'm trying to work it out now exactly. No,
I'm not going to worry about that.
No, but in his standards, awful year.
Yeah.
But judging it on the whole of this year, 3.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I think that's probably about the same.
Not a good year. Not a good year.
No, not a good year. And again, when you look at the next guy up ahead of him, Alex Marquez, a rookie, on the hardest to ride bike on the grid, beat him by a solid 8 points across the season. So not massive, not even a point around. But Alex Marquez's best finish of the year was a second place as compared to Rossi's third. Marquez had 2 podiums as opposed to Rossi's 1. So yep. I'm not sure whether, because I don't think Alex Marquez had a really great season, but I think that just shows how bad Rossi's season was.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Marquez had 2 non-finishes, and that was it over the course of the season.
Yeah, and they both came towards the end of the season, didn't they? Once he'd finally got to grips with wrestling that bike around a little bit more. And as we know from his brother, who, is probably the best guy to ever swing over a leg over a MotoGP bike, let alone over a Repsol Honda, he crashes a lot trying to find the limit of that bike. And that's how you have to ride the Honda. You've got to ride it to the very limit to get the best out of it. So by the time Alex Marquez learned how to do that, learned how to ride it to the limit, he started crashing a little bit, and that's to be expected.
Yeah, that sort of shows the progression he's made. Because he had the 2 podiums just before he started crashing.
Yeah.
So has he got to that point where he thought, up and up and up? Because his results were they was hovering around the same, but he was starting to show pace in free practice and qualifying. He's just started to push it. And hopefully he can remember that for next year and just come out the blocks and push it.
Yeah, I hope so, because his final 2 rounds weren't so great, were they? Valencia, he finished 16th, and in Portugal, he finished 9th. He did drop off the boil a little bit across the season. But I think it was great. I'm in an iron over this a little bit, because I think it was a solid season for him in his rookie year. He didn't win Rookie of the Year, so maybe that does take it back down to a 6. I think I'm giving him a 6 for the year.
I think a 6, yeah. I think, on the whole, not a bad season. Rookie season, hardest bike to ride. A lot of pressure on him as well, just for the last name.
Yes, certainly. And coming into the Repsol team,
Exactly. There was a lot of speculation around this guy and a lot of talk. He's dealt with it well, I think.
Yeah, I think that's very true. A solid 6 I'm going with.
So, yeah, we'll go a solid 6.
Good stuff. So, 13th place overall, Johan Zarco. Best finish of 3rd, 1 podium, and 77 points across the season. Sorry, carry on.
No, you go. I was just reading up his stats there. I was just trying to see what was what.
Okay. I think he had a pretty good year, all in all, actually. Moving away from KTM, moving on to you'd call them, I think we as fans would all call them a 3rd-tier team within the paddock. I know Zarco certainly did call them a 3rd-tier team, moving to the Avintia squad.
I think he didn't quite put it that nicely.
No, he wasn't. He didn't mince his words, did he?
No, he didn't. No. Not at all.
I don't think I expected him to do as well as he did. I didn't expect him to be on the front row. I didn't expect him to score a podium. I expected him to be scraping points every now and again. But I think actually but just by being there, just raised the whole level of that team a little.
I think so. He definitely showed more promise, should we say, in that team.
Yeah.
Than what they've had for a long time.
So I think it might be their first ever podium.
I think it could be. I think you could be right. But yeah, I think his sort of standard and the way he came into the team with sort of some new backroom staff in there as well, his level of performance is something they need to set as a benchmark from now on.
Certainly.
They need to look at the fact that someone's come in first year and done pretty damn well.
Yeah, and I mean next year will be interesting for them when they've got the two championship rivals from Moto2 moving up there in Enea Bastianini and Luca Marini.
Mm. Yeah, that would be an interesting one. I think we could maybe start to see a little change of fortune happening in that
Potentially,
team.
although
I hope
haven't
so.
they basically been told that they won't be renewing their contract with Dorna for
I think
2022
so, yeah.
onwards?
Yeah, I think so. So there's already a hurdle in the way, should we say?
Yeah, so they'll see a rise in fortunes for a single year, and then they'll be
Yeah.
off.
Not necessarily. I think there'll be a bailout in there somewhere from someone, but that's still got to be seen.
I don't know, because I think they've been told by Dorna that they won't be renewing the contract. I don't think Dorna want them anymore.
All right. No, we'll see.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens with that one. But yeah, I think Zarco over the season has probably performed the best out of anyone we've spoken about so far. I'd be happy to give him a 7, I think, out of 10 for the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's the first, in 13th, he's the first of the people that we could really say has had a pretty damn good season.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I mean, he's got his promotion to Pramac next year.
Yep.
So he's kind of made himself valuable within the Ducati folds.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Ducati folds, Danilo Petrucci is next.
I'm surprised in the stats it hasn't got a big red line right through it. You got the MotoGP website, which I got up with all their numbers and letters and stuff, and he's sitting there on 78 points, which is surprising as well.
It is surprising. I'm sort of surprised he's got so many points just by how he performed throughout the season. I'm surprised he's in 12th overall, because I feel like his average finishing position across the season was certainly not 12th. And I don't know. And I'm surprised if you just told me at the beginning of the year that Danilo Petrucci would finish in 12th with just a single podium and only 78 points, I'd be like, oh, fuck off. He's going to have a much better year than that.
Exactly.
So across the board, it's just quite a surprising place to see his name. But yeah, like I say, he finished first. That was his only podium for the year, 78 points. It was a shit year for Danilo, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't great. He's never really picked up from last season.
No, from that midpoint. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of been on like this downward spiral for 18 months now.
Yeah, it's not been a good recovery. I think personally he was very relieved to sign that KTM deal.
I think he's bloody lucky he went so early. Imagine if Ducati had told him, "Oh, we don't know. We might keep you. We might not. We're undecided at this point, but we'll give it a few races and then we'll make our decision." If he'd have just said, "Yeah, okay, I'm happy to wait," there's no way KTM would have signed him on that form. The only reason he got that ride is on current form. And I think he must be so grateful he did it. And I don't think KTM made a bad signing, because I still think he proved to us in it was Le Mans he won, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He proved to us in Le Mans that when it all comes together, he's still got it. And that maybe the problem isn't him. Maybe the problem is Ducati.
I think you could be right. I think there is so much mind games at Ducati and so much going on behind closed doors that it just screws your head.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who's in there has a lot of pressure to deal with. I know there's a lot of pressure in any garage to perform. You're the rider. You've got to take that bike out there and make it work. I think there's just that little bit extra at Ducati, that little bit more that really gets under your skin. And I think that goes to show, like when he said he'd announced his KTM contract, he looked relieved.
Yeah,
he generally looked relieved. And for a rider to show that, normally they will try and hang on to a team as long as possible.
Especially when it's a factory ride with a race-winning, championship-challenging team.
Exactly. Obviously, the stuff going on next door with his teammate and Ducati as well wouldn't have helped.
Yeah, especially considering we know they're quite good friends, aren't they? So we know they probably had spoken about it.
Yeah, I think he's had a solid season, and I think we're going to see him have another solid season next year, hopefully a better season. But I would imagine he is one of the most relieved people in the paddock at the minute.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I think across the board for him, I don't know. I reckon a 5. No, 4, 5. No, he got a win. I'm calling it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I was torn between a 4 and a 5. So we'll go 5. We'll give him a 5. He got on the top step. He's got a trophy to drink champagne out of this year, which is more than I've got. So
I mean, that's fair. That's more than I've got too, my friend.
I've actually, talking about winnings, I found something the other day in the cupboard. I found our timing sheets from when we went go-karting.
Did you beat me at that overall, or did I win there? I can't remember now. I feel like if I've forgotten it, it means you probably won.
No, you spanked me.
Oh, okay.
I took a right pasting.
Okay, that makes me feel a bit better.
You were off. I was like, oh.
I think mine is still in the car, actually. I think I've been using them to like store my chewing gum in, just ripping a corner off every now and again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like it.
So 11th place overall the season. And our second of the race winners for the year that we'll be talking about is Brad Binder.
I think he had a solid year.
Oh, I think he had a solid year. Well, at least I thought he had a solid year. I think he still had a pretty good year, but it's not as good as I remember it being. He had his one win, which is the only podium of the year, scored 87 points in total. But I remember him being pretty solid. And then I looked through the numbers somewhat and realised that they were a little... He kind of floated just around 10th, give or take a couple of places. Had a couple of solid rounds in the middle of the year, not even at the middle, near the beginning of the year. But apart from that, wasn't great. I mean, it was a 13th, a non-finish, a 1st, a 4th, an 8th, 12th, non-finish, 11th, 12th, 11th, non-finish, 7th, 5th, non-finish.
It's a proper mixed bag his season.
Yeah, it is.
He never really dropped right down at the bottom of the half of the table on race finishes anyway.
No, that's very true.
He was always around the mid. He always improved. Just before I commit to this, apart from crashing out, he always improved his qualifying position.
Oh, did he? I didn't even register that.
Apart from the first race, sorry, I just noticed that one. So Spain qualified 11th, finished 13th.
Is it qualified 11th? I think that might be his starting position. I think he qualified 13th.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Starting position 11th, finished 13th.
Yeah, and his actual qualification was 13th, so there must have been people with penalties or people, I don't know how that happened, but it did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seemed to be a solid improvement across the year, didn't it? There was a couple of good points where he qualified much higher. The race he won, for example, he qualified 7th. The next race, he only qualified 17th, so not so good.
But when you look at the race finish, 4th.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good race for him, that one. And that's the point where I was like, oh, there's a universe in which Brad Binder can win this championship. I was getting very excited by him early in the year.
There's a lot of times where he's nearly always improved on his qualifying.
Yeah, I think he generally improved across the year, actually. He had a couple of stupid crashes, but I think he generally got better and better. It's going to be very exciting to see him and Oliveira side by side next year.
I'm really looking forward to that. I think the Portuguese fans are going to be looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
So he's not had a bad year at all.
Now, what do you think for a rating? Because I'm a little bit torn here. I want to hear what you're going with.
In my head, I actually had him down as, with a race win, I had him down for a 7.
Oh, see, I wrote 6/7, so I'm happy to go with a 7 there.
We'll go for a 7.
Okay, so we're just about to break into the top 10 here, Steve. Before we do, shall we have a quick break and then hit the top 10?
That's it. Let's do that because I'm out of beer.
Okay, you go grab another beer. I'll sit here and press the go button on the adverts. And then when you come back, we're good to go.
Awesome.
And thank you for bearing with us there. As you can hear, Steve has just cracked open another beer. I've actually not poured another glass. Yeah, you did tell me to wait, but we were going at that point. I've not poured another glass of Baileys because it's just occurred to me I've already drunk more than a pint of Baileys tonight. So I think maybe it's time to slow it down because I still need to edit this show by the time we're done recording. And by then I'll be seeing about 4 laptops as I'm trying to click to the right points.
A text message in the morning. Steve, we've got to re-record. What happened? I deleted it.
Yeah, fucked it, mate. Sorry. So let's dive into the top 10 across the season, shall we? And I just want to stress, obviously, this is not our top 10 across the season. This is the top 10 in their finishing positions across the season. Maybe they are our top 10. Who knows? Anyway, 10th place, Taka Nakagami, best finish of 4th, 116 points across the season. I actually think Nakagami had a banging year, a really, really good year, and I'm a bit sad he didn't get a podium to really finish the year off.
I think he had an absolutely cracking year, and everyone, when all eyes went to him, Marquez out, Crutchlow injured, you got a complete rookie coming in Alex Marquez, and all eyes went to him, and he did not disappoint. The only, I would say, personal disappointment for him was, like you said, he didn't get on the podium. And everyone, when he started having his good results, first in qualifying, dominating free practices, was the only one who could really get to grips with the Honda this year.
Certainly.
Everyone said that podium's going to happen, and it just didn't.
And arguably, it should have happened quite early on, I think. I think it should have happened, is it one of the Styria rounds or the Austrian round, when he was racing right up at the front but was fucked by a red flag? I think it was Austria. I think it was the first.
Yeah, I think it was the first of the Austrian rounds. And then we saw him put it on pole.
In Aragon.
Yeah, and then, what was it, second corner?
Yeah, oh, God.
I just made a mistake, and I wanted to cry for him.
But it really, the problem with that race is it sort of felt like it was going to happen. Because everyone was talking him up for the win. Everyone was talking him up for the win. And it just, the nerves got to him. And I don't know, I didn't start watching that race thinking, shit, Nakagami's going to win this race. I started watching that race thinking he's either going to fluff the start or he's going to bin it.
Yeah, I remember watching the whole thing, said it on telly, and everyone was saying this is going to be his day. And I'm just thinking, commentators, curse lads, come on.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt.
And I know that's only a thing. It doesn't really exist. It's just pure coincidence. But there does seem to be sometimes where the commentators will bang on and bang on and bang on. And all of a sudden it just happens.
Yeah.
And you're just like, shut up. Don't talk about it. Talk about your cat. Talk about something different. And then it won't happen. Absolute solid year. I would be quite happy to give this dude an 8.
Yeah, and I think actually, judging by the way we've scored everyone else so far, I think it can't be any less than an 8. I think you could make a 7 as an argument because you didn't get on the podium, and maybe I would make that argument actually.
We could have that debate. An 8 up until this point, an 8 would be the highest score we've given out,
except for Marc Marquez.
Except for Marc Marquez, but we're not putting him in the official slide.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with an 8, I think. This might be one I come back and revisit by the time we get down to first, but I think for now I'm happy with an 8.
Let's go 7.
Okay, we're going with a 7. Steve has spoken, and Steve is our arbiter of the scores.
Yeah, I haven't got a gamble, so I can't smack that. Yeah, we'll go 7. Let's go 7. Just on the pure fact he didn't convert that podium.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That makes a lot of sense. And actually, I'm very happy with that because the guy I want to talk about next is Miguel Oliveira, 9th place overall. Best finish of 1st, and he had 2 of those. His only 2 podiums for the year were both wins.
That's how you do it. That's, if you're going to get on the podium, just smash it. Just get on the top and go for it.
Exactly. What's the point of fucking about in 3rd when you could just skip 3rd and straight to 1st?
Yeah, that's it. You don't want to be the first one out that door or the second one out that door, and then the last bloke walks out and gets the big trophy. You want that big trophy. Exactly.
And he did it twice this year. Scored a total of 125 points, which actually means 40% of his points came from 2 results.
That's not bad.
I mean, it's not bad for those 2 results, but it doesn't say much for the rest of his year, does it?
That's the worst bit. That is the worst bit. He had a solid year. He won in front of his home crowd. You look at that last statistic at Portugal, 1-1-1.
Yeah, I mean, he fucking dominated it, didn't he, in Portugal? He absolutely smashed it. Yeah, and actually, I was umming and ahhing whether to give him a 7 or an 8, but you've just pointed out his domination in Portugal in the final round of the year. So I'm happy to give the guy an 8 out of 10 because I think he had a great year. I think it set him up perfectly for his going into the full factory team next year alongside Brad Binder. Yeah, I think it was a great year for him. Really, really solid.
Yeah, I do as well. I completely agree. Solid 8. And I really, really hope that next year he just follows it on. And, I bloody hope we go back to Portimao because for him, we've spoken to some of the fans and they said how much they love him out there. And
yeah,
I really bloody hope that we do go back to Portimao because I'd love to see him do it again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've heard from a couple of guys in Portugal, haven't we now? And everyone's saying like he's just a grade A celebrity out there, which is really nice to hear. Because I remember even when Cal Crutchlow won the first, did he win in 2016? Was it Brno, the first race he won?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember him winning that, and I was like, "Fuck, this British rider's just won a MotoGP race for the first time since like the 70s." So like this is going to be on the news, surely. It's going to be on the news. Wasn't anywhere. Like it was nowhere.
No.
So it's really nice to know that there are countries in which the riders really are superstars.
That absolutely. That's like we could go way off topic now. In
It's
the
not
UK,
like
we
us.
have no, never. No, we never do. We're consummate professionals, mate. I'm just gonna, don't just turn off recording. Let's go off record. Sports personality of the year that we have here in the UK. A celebrated thing, you have some major names over there. Johnny Ray has won it in the past.
Has he won it in the past? I know he's certainly
Oh.
been nominated in the past. I didn't know he'd won it.
I think he did win it, yeah.
Okay.
But wins a record number of World Superbike titles this year. Nothing.
No, he's not even nominated, is he? I think the problem for him was always going to be this year that Lewis Hamilton just matched Schumacher's records this year.
There is that. But then you could argue he should have just been nominated.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
Just recognition of an achievement.
Yeah, certainly.
So I shall be putting in my complaint.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, not that's going to make a shit's worth of difference. But someone's going to open that email and go, who the fuck's this? Oh, fuck. Delete.
I think you should send it in a letter, Steve.
I might write a proper handwritten, old-fashioned, get my feather out.
Yeah, and wrap it around a Toblerone. So, like, you post them a Toblerone and you'd be like, the Toblerone's for you. It's for you because I respect what you do, but I'm pissed off with your choices this year.
Yeah, so I've eaten half the Toblerone.
So I've licked it. I just coughed all over it before I wrapped it.
Oh, dear.
You get done for, like, some form of terrorism, I'm sure, for biological warfare or something for that.
Oh, probably. Oh, dear.
Anyway, Steve's not going to commit biological warfare, guys.
Yeah.
For the NSA, who are surely listening, there, he's not going to do that. Not that the
bang
NSA care, because they're not based in the UK.
No, they're not. Are they? Who do we have over here? Cobra.
Well, no, Cobra's just our important meeting. It would be like the MI5, MI6 folks, wouldn't it? The Secret
Bond.
Service.
I might get Bond round.
Yeah. You want to be careful, pal. We know what Bond's like with the ladies. Just saying.
Yeah.
Right, so Fabio Quartararo, 8th place across the season. Best finish first. He scored 3 podiums across the year. All of them were wins. 127 points. He finished in fucking 8th place, Steve. If you'd have told me halfway through the year Fabio was going to finish in 8th place, I'd been, oh, fuck off, Steve. You don't know what you're talking about, mate. You need to get a new hobby. Stop talking about MotoGP. But here we are.
Sorry. Yeah, I think this is the first of the big disappointments.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Started off, I mean, again, we just talked about Miguel Oliveira's stats at the last round in Portugal, 1-1-1. Quartararo had 2 of those on the bounce.
Yeah.
Looked awesome. Then a little dip, qualified second, finished 7th. No, not great. And then it really starts to go to hell.
Yeah, it really goes downhill from there, where he has like an 8th place finish, 13th non-finish, scores a 4th. Wow, things are looking up again. Happy days. Scores a win. Whoa, it's back on the cards.
We're back on form.
And then nothing. 9th.
And then we go on that dip again, and it is not even a dip; it's like a downward slide.
Yeah, exactly. And he kind of plateaus down the bottom and never really recovers.
No, such an odd season. And after last year's promise and that early domination, if you will.
Well, yeah, after those 2 rounds in Jerez, when we're like, whoa, shit. Marquez might not be here. Quartararo's going to walk it.
Yeah. And then it just, he took that bubble off Pennywise and stuck a needle right in it.
Yeah, quite.
Disappointing.
Really disappointing. And I'm really struggling with how to rank him, because in my head I'm like, it's a 4. He cannot be any higher than a 4. The guy scored 3 wins this year.
Yeah.
The only other person to score 3 wins across the year was his teammate, who finished 2nd. No one else won that many races.
I think when you look at his dips and his dives and then his ups, he's almost a complete middle of the board. He's got to be somewhere around a 5.
That's where I'm thinking. I
Yeah,
want to score him lower, but I can't forget that this is only his second year in MotoGP.
yeah. Um,
He's not on a factory bike. Mark Marquez was the guy who was shadowing all last year out.
mm,
He won 3 fucking races.
yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I don't know. I think you're right. I think we've got to call it down the middle. I feel like we could spend the entire episode talking about him.
I think you could literally analyze and draw graphs and pull up performance stats and all sorts of things that went on, and just we could sit here and talk about his whole season in one, and we could do a comparison between him and Oliveira, just one place below him, and you look at those numbers. Oliveira's only 2 points behind him.
Yeah, he really was, wasn't he? And it's
Yeah,
funny because we're talking about giving Quartararo a 5, but we gave Oliveira an 8.
exactly.
It
It's so hard. It is really hard. In theory, the whole lot we should start at 0, and they should come up to 10.
Yeah, but it shows what expectation does, doesn't it? Because I didn't expect Oliveira to do anything like this year.
No,
I kind
exactly.
of did expect Quartararo to start performing like this year.
Yeah. So on a individual personal level, I think the highest we can give Quartararo is a 5.5, 6.
I'm going with a 5, mate. I'm taking it straight down the middle. Yeah.
Right. Split it down the middle. I'm happy with that.
So that brings us to Jack Miller next, 7th place overall. Jack Miller, best finish of 2nd, scored 4 podiums across the year, and 132 points in total.
Not the greatest, but not bad either.
No, not the greatest, but also let's remember here that he is the 2nd highest Ducati finisher, scored the most podiums of anyone we've spoken about yet. Had some bad luck at times throughout the year.
Bad luck.
Got wiped out by Binder towards the end of the year. I can't remember what race it was. Aragon, one of the Aragon rounds. I mean, it didn't look like he was going to do anything in that round anyway. But he sucked up a tear off at one point. I think he had an engine failure in another race. Like, he's had issues throughout the year. He could arguably be, 30 points higher up than he was, and that would have put him in contention for the championship.
Yeah, would have put him, add 30 points on that. He's in 2nd place.
Yeah, he's in 2nd place and only 9 points off the win.
Yeah, he did have some bad luck. I mean, that tear off was one of the most. How long do you reckon Fabio took place in the right spot before he let go of it?
Oh god, it's so unlucky, isn't it? I do like the fact that they pulled it out and it had the 20 on, it had Fabio's logo on, so at least they can be like, "Oi, prick, US new engine."
I'd have rolled up in the garage and gone, "Oi, knobhead, what the fuck?"
He'd be like, "You better have your insurance documents on you, pal."
Yeah. No insurance? Right.
Yeah,
Call the cops.
that's it. Kneecapping.
Yes. That's just, you never hear of that happening. I mean, when the hell has that ever happened before?
No, exactly.
But on the whole, Jack had a good year, personal good year, signed for factory Ducati.
Yeah.
Made some noise last year that he should have had to ride. Got it this year. It's not, you look at his win rate. It's not, or not win rate, finish rate. 5th, 7th, 14th. So he had a little dip. 2nd, 5, 2nd. He's up there.
I think actually, and I know he didn't finish as top Ducati, but I think he was the best performing Ducati across the year.
I think you're right, because then you compare that to Dovi's finishes, where you've got first race out, finished 8th, then 14th, then 18th. Miller didn't have those kind of dips, that consistent down. It was a little down and then back up.
Yeah, well, Miller's only 2 points behind Dovi, who's 3 places further up in the championship than him. If Miller hadn't had one of his incidents, he'd be way higher than Dovi.
Absolutely. But he'd be up there.
And it's only Dovi's win, actually, that's put him higher. If Miller had one of those 2nd places, had converted to the win, then he'd be ahead of Dovi.
All right, when did Dovi have his win?
Austria,
that's it. Yeah, that's just that one little rescue and win.
Yeah. But Miller, I think, is a really solid year. Overall in the championship, not as high as I expected him to have done. But like I've just said, if he'd have scored 4 points more, he'd have moved from 7th to 4th.
Exactly.
And that would have been a really good result. So I think Miller, with the fact that he got a seat at the red team as well, I think we can give him a 7.
I was thinking to say 7. I just had a mouthful of beer. Solid 7. Before the season started, I said I wanted to see him in the top 5, and he's pretty much there. And like I say, unfortunate bad luck, I think, robbed him of it. So, yeah, 7.
Yeah. Okay, so that brings us to Maverick Vinales next in 6th place. I realised the notes I sent you didn't actually say his name because I hadn't typed that at all, so it's just an empty space. But it was Maverick Vinales. So he
I was still on the stats page. I was like, oh yeah, I had to swap it back to it.
That makes it. I mean, the stats page is more useful than the notes I wrote, mate. So that's fine. But so Vinales had best finish was a win. And scored 3 podiums in total for 132 points, same as Miller. Only beat Miller in the championship because of his win. So on comeback, he gets it. Otherwise, if he had only scored a second, for example, Miller's extra podium would have bumped him above. But, that's neither here nor there. We are where we are. However, I think he had a shit year.
Yeah, I think he had a terrible year as well. Made a lot of noise about the Yamaha.
All Mav does is make a lot of noise, whether he's winning and making a lot of noise about how good he is, or he's losing and making a lot of noise about how bad the bike is. All he really does is make a lot of noise.
He does make a lot of noise. There's a difference between making a noise and not performing with that name, and then making flybys on an aircraft carrier and making a lot of noise. Which that movie still hasn't out, so we haven't had our date night yet.
It did not even occur to me that wasn't out yet. That has been fucked by... As if Top Gun 2 has been ruined by COVID.
I was scrolling through Facebook the other day and the trailer came on again, and I didn't realise till I heard the music. The music, Top Gun music came on. Yeah, and it was the proper...
I probably can't do too much of that because they'll get done for copyright or something.
Did you do more than 6 seconds or whatever it is?
I don't think that's real. I'm pretty convinced that this 6 second, 7 second thing is something that podcasters made up so that they can make themselves feel better about the fact they're using copyrighted music. I'm pretty sure it's not real.
I don't know, we'll try it one day. I know Dorna don't like it if you post 30-second videos.
No, Dorna, we've stressed Dorna out in the past, haven't we, with our posting of their content, sadly.
I've pushed it with Dorna a bit, yeah. They did slap me on the wrist.
They did. They put us in our place and we wound our necks back in. So
well, Steve wound his neck back in.
Yeah, I mean, Tim doesn't really touch the social media.
That was funny.
Anyway, Mav. Yes, I don't know, man. Like, it's Maverick. In my head, this is exactly what I expected Maverick to do. But I don't think this is what Maverick should be doing. Maverick had, especially when he arrived, the potential to be a world champion. I've made it very clear I don't think Maverick is world championship material anymore. But I think he certainly was when he first arrived in MotoGP. And part of me still expects him to perform at that level.
I think if you put him on a different bike right now, like if you stuck him back on the Suzuki, we'd see a different rider.
I think if he was on the Suzuki this year, he'd be champion.
Yeah.
So maybe he is still championship material, just in his current guise that he's not the Yamaha Mav.
I mean, to be fair to him, he's not the only one making a lot of noise about the Yamaha. Nearly all the riders are making noise about that bike, apart from Morbidelli.
Well, Morbidelli's on last year's machine as well, remember?
That is very true, yeah. I don't know, it's a very, very odd one. We've seen this kind of inconsistent form from Maverick for a while now.
This is the problem, isn't it? Like, he can make as much noise as he likes, but he's been performing like this for 3 years.
Yeah. We know that Yamaha has had issues over those 3 years. But at some point, a line has to be drawn.
Mm-hmm.
And like this, unfortunately for him, has now become like a normal state of affairs.
Yeah.
Where, he'll go backwards or he will dominate. So he's a really, really awkward one to just do an off-the-hip rating without some real chitty-chatty about him.
Yeah.
6?
I don't even know if I can give him a 6, man. I'm thinking that a 4 is probably about right. Who else have we given 4s to? Pecco had a 4, Crutchlow had a 1, Smith Tito had 2s.
It's a bit of
I think I can't. I'm happy with a 4, but if you want to go higher, I'll stretch to a 5.
I think we should leave it at 4. If he'd had a win, I'd have pushed it up a bit.
Well, he did have a win.
Well, more wins, should we say?
Okay.
Because that one win doesn't negate the rest of the.
And if he wasn't on a factory bike, I'd be more willing to give him a 5.
He's got a multi-time world championship winning bike under him,
Yeah.
or manufacturer rather. So it's hard to look past that fact.
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Again, it's the expectation thing. I expect him. Well, I think we expect him as fans to do better than Sick. We expect him that when Marc Marquez isn't there, he'll be able to strive to be top Yamaha to challenge for the title. And he just clearly showed once again he cannot do that on a Yamaha.
No. I think we could be seeing him on his last season.
Oh, I don't know if it'll be his last season because I think he's got enough potential that someone else will sign him. However, I think he should
last
have
season
probably,
at Yamaha.
Yes, yeah. I think he probably should have signed a factory Ducati deal when it was offered to him at the start of the year because I don't think he'll be getting a factory deal anywhere else.
No.
After 2 more years at Yamaha.
Yeah.
So speaking of expectation, that brings us on to 5th place, and this is a guy that I love to hate. But this year cannot sing his praises enough. Pol Espargaro. 3rd place was his best finish of the year, but he only went and scored 5 of them. 5 podiums, all 3rd places. 135 points in total on the year. What a season, man!
Banging year for this dude. Absolutely
really good. Yeah.
I have said before, I have serious reservations whether he has made the right choice in his move, because we've finally seen a decent ride this year from Pol Espargaro.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it has finally come. We know he's a fabulous rider. We know the KTM is really coming on Swan Song.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just had a snippet of what he can do, and now we're going to have it taken away from us.
Yeah, but maybe he will be able to push the Honda to his limit.
There's far more knowledgeable people tipping him to do well on that Honda than us. He's getting the backing of some big names, and a lot of people are saying he's going to do well. And I just really hope they're right.
Yeah, I hope they're right because, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't like the guy. I don't like him at all. But he's had a fucking cracking year, and I quite like being able to root against him. I think it's fun to be able to root against him.
I really like seeing an angry Pole.
Yeah, that's fair. And I like watching him ride because he just fucking is all hanging out. When him and Miller were scrapping, these are 2 guys that really just grab it by the scruff of the neck and are just going. And it's amazing. And it was amazing to watch them scrap. Really fun. And it will be fun to see him on the Honda. But you're right. Is he making the right move? KTM scored 1, 2, 3 wins this year. They scored 8, 9 podiums. What did Honda do? 2 podiums across the year?
Something like that, yeah. 2 podiums, a couple of pole positions.
Did they get any pole positions, Honda? Oh, they got 1.
Taka.
Yeah, so I think they got 1.
Yeah, compare the 2, I'd stay put.
Yeah.
But for him, I had in my head for pole a nice big 8.
Yeah, I'm very happy with an 8, actually. I would maybe go as far as I don't think I would go for a 9. If he'd have won one of his last lap battles to score a second or a win even, I'd have put him at a 9. But I'm very happy with an 8, I think.
Let's go with an 8. 8 for pole.
8 for Paul. I did actually, while we're getting into this, I'll spill those beans at the end.
You go.
So, 4th place was Andrea Dovizioso. Best finisher first, scored 2 podiums across the year, 135 points in total. Only beat Paul because of countback again, because of that win. There's a lot of people only just scraping positions on countback this year.
It gets suddenly, you think the numbers start getting bigger at the top of the table, but then when you start looking at the gaps, you think actually there's not a lot there.
Yeah.
You think from 13th, just looking at the top of the stats board, you've got 1 point between 13th and 12th, then a little jump up to 87, then a little jump up to 116, little jump up to 125, then 2 points to 127. Then you've got 2 riders on the same number, 2 riders on the same number, 4 points, 16 points, and then a little bit more. It's like all of a sudden there's just little gaps.
Yeah.
But there's a lot clustered together.
There's a lot clustered together this year. A lot of guys came really close across the year, definitely.
I might sit and just do a graph of those middle bit between 9th and third and just see how they compare.
Yeah.
because that'd be quite an interesting one. Just get a little graphy going, get the geek out, and just sit one night and do a graph. You know, 'cause that's how we roll over here.
That's just how we roll. It's all just motorbikes and graphs. That's what all the cool kids are at. That's what lockdown's been: motorbikes and graphs.
Lockdown. A lot of lockdown for me for this year. Too much lockdown for me this year.
So Andrea Dovizioso, as we were saying, I think it was a terrible year, man.
I think it was a terrible year. I think every year for Dovi since he pushed for that championship year has been an awful year.
Yeah, I think you're right. Since he pushed it to Valencia for the championship in, was it 2017, 18?
Yeah, 17, I think.
17, but it was quite unexpected. And you're like, whoa, where has this come from?
Yeah. Every year since then has seen Dovi potentially get a little bit worse. And we know there's been a lot of bad feeling between him and Ducati. There's a lot of stuff still ongoing.
Yeah.
He's not got a ride for next year. He held out to get the money he wanted from Ducati. They dug their heels in and said no. Eventually it was all like, right, we'll go our separate ways. And I think it's just been a really bad last hurrah.
Yes, I think it's been a terrible last hurrah. I think when Marquez was out, he was supposed to dominate this year. And he was supposed to come out swinging. He was supposed to beat everyone and have it wrapped up with 2 rounds to go. He was supposed to go and win multiple races across the season, and none of us would have been surprised if he had done so. However, he scores 1 win, 2 podiums, and it's just generally can't put it together. A lot of that, like we said about Petrucci as well, it seems to be Ducati. It doesn't seem to be Dovi. I'm sure Dovi hasn't just lost the ability to fight for a championship. No. But there's a lot of talk, wasn't there, about the rear tyre? Yes. The new rear tyre from Michelin, and I think we'll probably try and get into that on another show, although I don't know enough about it, to be honest. I just kind of know it's what everyone's talking about. But
I think we should pull together a couple of tech shows. I'm sure we could drag some tyres in here somewhere, and we could do a bit of a demo on burnouts.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see some tech shows and pretend I know what I'm talking about, as long as you do know what we're talking about, which I think you do. So
I'll try my best.
We'll try and simplify it, because we don't understand either.
What I'll do is I'll email. Let's go for a Yamaha and see if I can just roll one in, and we'll take it to bits.
You think in this world that we're living in, Yamaha are just going to ship you a M1 for you to have a look at and take to bits?
You know me, I like taking stuff to bits. Don't leave it sitting. If anyone ever comes to my house, don't leave anything sitting around, because I will take it to bits. Just to see how it works.
Even your wallet, you'll even take that to bits, I can vouch.
Well, if there's money in there as well, I'll definitely take it. Makes me sound like a thief. I'm not really a thief.
Yes, that's what he says. So, Dovi, what do you reckon? I think he... 4. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I can't give him more than that, I don't think.
No. Do you want to know how I came to that conclusion?
Yeah, go on.
I just looked at his number.
But we'll give him a big old 04.
Yeah, that's all I could get. I was like, I can't. He's number 4. We'll give him that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's easy enough. So Alex Rins then, we're not going to give him a 42 out of 10, I'm afraid.
No, we can't.
But he is 3rd overall in the championship. He scored 1 win and 3 other podiums, for a total of 139 points. Man, I'm a bit stuck with Alex, because if he wasn't injured at the start of the year, I think he would have won the championship. However, he was, and he didn't, and he got really shown up by his teammate. He certainly, on his day, was as fast, if not faster than his teammate, but he didn't have the consistency. And again, this is just another example of someone who we've always gone, he's the dark horse of the championship. He's the dark horse of the championship. When, the championship favourite is out, that's when the dark horses should rise. And he didn't rise to the occasion.
No, I mean, they had nearly equal number of missed races, non-scores, non-starts throughout the year. It was just Mir just had that little bit more.
Yeah.
So, sorry, bud.
I was just going to say, Mir went on and scored an extra 3 podiums, didn't he? Just that extra consistency is really what did it.
Yeah, I put a lot down to that injury at the start of the season.
Really, yeah, I think it did have a lot to do with it, certainly. But did it have everything to do with it? I'm not so sure. I think he threw away some powerful wins, didn't he? Some big scores. He had that crash from second in Le Mans when his teammate was way back out of the points. That would have been 20 points straight up, and he'd really been fighting for the championship at that point.
Yeah. Whereas he did back that up with a win at the following round, but then 2 second places.
Yeah, that was his tear when you're like, whoa, Rins could do this now.
Yeah. All of a sudden he dropped it up, but then he had the start of the year, missed that first race, had 10th place, 4th place, then like another non-score. It was, to me, it was just a couple in the middle, like the 12th, followed by a podium third, then another non-score. It was just those. It was just enough.
Yeah.
That Mir was just there, and when he had a bad day, like Mir didn't have a great day in France. He had an 11th finish place, but then they were close. But Mir was just that little bit better.
Yeah, I think across the season, Mir was certainly better. And normally, I say normally at all because I do this all the time. I don't want to mark Alex Rins down because his teammate was so good. But he's the only comparison, and I'm not even sure. I think, at least, I don't think there's nothing scientific. There's no numbers to back this up. I just feel Alex Rins was faster across the year. He just couldn't keep it rubber side down.
No, his bad days were real bad days, whereas Mir's bad days just weren't that bad.
Yeah, and I think all things considered, third place is good. I think the 1 win, the 4 podiums is pretty good. Probably not good enough considering. I don't think I can give Rins more than a 6, maybe.
On my little bit of paper, I had a 7.
Okay.
And that was just because he got third in the championship. And, between him and his teammate, they gave Suzuki one of their best years ever.
Yeah, they did, actually. And I think on a personal level, he did ingratiate himself into the team and stuff.
Yeah. He's definitely cemented his place in that team.
Yeah, even if it is as a number 2.
Yeah. I don't think he's got much to worry about for a while. It's going to be a long time before they start sort of turning dark eyes towards him.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, if results were to start slipping away, I think he'd have enough favour there to last him a good few seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, I'm happy with a 7 then. You've won me round, Steve.
I should be a politician, I think.
I mean, you wouldn't be doing much worse than the ones we've got at the moment, mate.
No, you really wouldn't.
So second place, Frankie Morbidelli. Let's not.
Yeah, let's not go down that road.
Politics show.
It's a 4-day podcast.
Frankie Morbidelli. Wow.
I was thinking about Frankie the other day. Actually, I was at work, and there's a dude who likes MotoGP at work, and he's got a big poster on his wall. Behind his joinery bench of Frankie, and it's just a cracking shot of him on the bike, leaning over, hair flapping, guitar in hand, looking like Jimi Hendrix. What a fucking year, mate! And no one saw it coming.
No one saw it coming at all, man. His best finish first. He did that 3 times. He scored 2 further podiums for a total of 158 points on the year. And it was just a cracking year. Like we expected, didn't we? We expected Quartararo to come out with guns blazing. We all kind of expected Quartararo to just leave Frankie in the dust, to be like, right. And then after the 2 Jerez races especially, you're like, whoa, okay, there's a big performance gap here. But as the season went on, Frankie just reeled in the competition, reeled in his teammate, and just left them for standing.
Yeah, he does look good. Towards the end of the year, you couldn't fault his performance. Hard not to. It's just all round cracking package.
Yeah, he does have an all round cracking package, mate.
That was a bad way of putting it, wasn't
it? It's okay. We all know I have quite a big man crush on Frankie Morbidelli. So the more we talk about his package, the better for me.
All right. You two got very similar hairstyles, I just realised.
I don't know, because his hair is quite curly and quite big. I went to school with a guy who had very similar hair to Frankie Morbidelli. My hair is just a bit big. but it's not as luscious as Frankie's. We need to get off the subject of luscious Frankie here because I'm going to end up a dribbling mess otherwise. So
Right.
I'm going to give the guy. I actually think he's my favourite for the season. In my opinion, it did the best job of any rider of the year, and I know he didn't win the championship, so that's a controversial statement, but I think he did a 9 out of 10 this year.
Yeah, I think it's hard to rate him otherwise. Absolutely stellar performance on a year-old bike, outclassed top Yamaha, outclassed factory man, his teammate, outrode some big names. Awesome ride.
Definitely. Awesome ride. And it's going to be really good to see him compared to Rossi next year as teammates.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that one. What I really want to see is Rossi going down to Morbidelli for tips.
Would you be surprised? I mean, the two guys ride together a lot. They're really good friends. They ride together at the VR46 Academy a lot. They are racing around Mugello together a lot. I think they race cars together. Like, it's not like they're...
Frankie's just on Monza.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did do Monza, didn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not guys that are scared of sharing data. So I think there'll be a lot of data being shared between them. And I'm sure Frankie has already been given Rossi like, yeah, come on, it's a good team to ride for. Yeah, Braslan will look after you. Yeah, don't worry about it. Come on, come be a mate. Hang out for another year. Let's see how it goes.
I can see Rossi. If Rossi gets on better than this year, he'll be there another year after this.
Yes.
Because he's going to keep racing as long as he can. Yeah, I am happy with that result for Morbidelli. Well, that score for Morbidelli.
Okay, so that brings us on to our world champion then, doesn't it, in Johan Mir? Best finish of the season. He did finally score that win. He did take the one win. He scored 6 further podiums for a grand total of 7, and total points were 171 across the year. Just a kind of a mind-blowing year for Johan Mir because...
It was a bit of a whirlwind, wasn't it?
Did anyone see it coming? And I don't really believe all these journalists. They're like, oh, yeah, we've said it from the start. We knew he'd be this good. We knew he'd be a world champion. He looks good, to be fair. Moto3 crushed. A lot of guys crush Moto3 and then don't really make it any further.
Yeah.
But he did. He came up and he's done it now. He's won the Premier Class crown. And it was unexpected. And it was a cracking year for him. Really solid.
Just got better and better, apart from the last race.
Yeah, Portugal was not a good one for him, was it?
No, he just walked away from that. He's like, I've done it, sold it.
He's like, fuck this, it's over now. I'm going to go get a beer, and I'm going to have a bath, and then I'm going to party lockdown style.
I'd have partied lockdown style as well. Not on the, first race. So he didn't finish the first race. He didn't finish the last race.
He didn't finish in Brno either.
No, didn't finish in Brno. So 3 non-scores. Rest of the time kept it rubber side down. Most of the time on the podium.
It's really good when you look at the stats, actually. When you look at the raw numbers, it's a non-finish, 5th, non-finish, 2nd, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 11th, 3rd, win, 7th, non-finish.
Yeah. I mean, if you took away Le Mans and put a decent result in Le Mans, say what would he have, 2nd, 3rd, let's give him a 4th there just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
He'd have been, 10, 15 points up the road.
Yeah.
Would have been a near perfect season. And I think you're completely right. All these people who turned around and said to him, yeah, he was going to win it, or said in media, he's going to win it this year, we're on board, it's Johan's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. From Catalonia onwards, or what was the round before Catalonia? It would have been Misano 2.
Yeah, the
Emiliana Romagna GP. Anyone who said it from that point onwards, fair enough, because by that point he was starting to go on that tear. He was starting to creep up in the results.
Yeah.
Anyone that said it before that was chatting shit.
Yeah, all those people who came out in Austria a while and went, yeah, he's going to win it. Bullshit.
Yeah.
You don't know that. It's not that early in the season. Anything can happen.
No, exactly.
I find it hard to give people 10s.
I actually was going to bring this up earlier. I refuse to give anyone a 10 on this list. If this was 2019 and we were judging Marc Marquez's season where he only finished 1st or 2nd, a 10 is good. as it is, I can't give any of these guys a 10. I'm very happy with a 9 for Mir again. I think him and Morbidelli were the only two guys who deserved it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Solid 9. We'll go a 9.
Yeah, and there it is then, Steve. That's probably the last of our 2020, or talking about the 2020 season at least, shows.
Makes me sad.
It does make me a bit sad, but it will bring us comfortably onto 2021, where we'll have another banging season, I'm sure. And whether Marc Marquez will be there or not, who knows?
God knows.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I did see some real crazy social media stuff earlier on, or was it yesterday? People already saying he might need his 4th operation, but these were just people out in the ether with a keyboard in front of them. I bloody hope not. He's back. He's home. You know, we've seen social media. He was in hospital for 10 days. He's home with his dogs.
Yeah.
Let's let him enjoy Christmas and just leave him alone for a bit. Let him get healed up, and then we'll see. Next year we'll tell all.
Yes, that's it. We'll see. We will see indeed. And I think next year's going to be fun. Whether he's there or not, next year will be fun. And I am looking forward to it.
I always do. My only fear, like I said for a few podcasts now, is COVID gets in the way at the start again. Hopefully it won't. Hopefully by then everyone's been sensible. But we will see.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Exactly. Right, well, I think that brings us towards the end, Steve. We had a quick message from a listener. I was going to say from a reader, but they probably don't read anything that we produce because we don't produce any writing. So it was a message from a listener. And this was from our winner of our fantasy league, actually. This came from Anne, and there was just the usual introduction. Hello, how are you? Blah, blah, all that nice stuff. I did reply because I'm also a lovely human being. But the crux of this that we're going to get down to is Anne asked for hangover tips, Steve. I think I might have a reputation among our listeners here.
It could. I feel slightly responsible for this. What is Tim drinking this week's segment seems to have really taken off. Hence the Fosters this week, so I've jumped on the bandwagon. But hangover tips.
So I, as I was saying to Anne, and I wasn't even going to read this out, and then I realised it's nearly Christmas, and you know, wherever you are in the world, there's a lot of us in lockdowns right now. Some people are refusing to do Christmas full stop. Some people are going to push the boundaries of what our governments are saying we can do with Christmas, and wherever you fall on that spectrum, that's up to you. But realistically, we're all going to end up pissed at some point.
Yes.
So, you know, I thought it was a good time to have a quick discussion about hangover cures. My personal favourites, which are going to be tough around Christmas and during COVID, are actually adrenaline sports. I do find riding a motorbike only many, many hours after your last drink and a decent amount of sleep and a lot of coffee later is this a good idea. But it does work. If you're still feeling a bit pissed, get someone to drive you to the go-kart track, because go-karts are great when you're hungover, because that will really get the cobwebs blown out. Aside from that, OJ, I was going to say bacon, but the vegetarian in me says don't promote bacon. So vegetarian bacon sandwiches. Honestly, though, real bacon is better, so just stick with the real stuff. It's better.
Come on, to die in the background here.
So adrenaline, OJ, bacon. Black pudding, if that's your thing, does it for me. Or actually, the one thing I know will kill me every single time is a hike in the mountains. Does the job for me. But it is a hard first hour or so, especially if you're feeling a little sick. But Steve, what are your hangover cures for us?
Well, I had to think about this because I have a two-folder. Because I've got both ends of the spectrum, pre-kids and post-kids.
Okay. When you said both ends for a minute, I was like, oh, God, your hangovers are bad if they're from both ends, Steve.
Oh, no, my hangovers are bad anyway. I've hit that point in life where my hangovers last ages. But the youth in me, I can remember, you're completely right, get on a motorbike. I can remember I'd go out some Friday nights, I'd be obliterated. And I'd wake up, God knows what time on a Saturday morning, and all I
Saturday
want is
afternoon, probably.
it was more like afternoon, early evening.
Sometimes Sunday morning, actually.
Probably was Sunday. Some days I probably lost a whole day. It's one of the weekends were so short. Anywho, all I wanted was a Burger King.
That's
all
a good choice. And a bacon XL double cheese.
Exactly
That's a good
that.
one.
Bacon double cheeseburger meal with an extra cheeseburger.
Yeah.
There used to be one, in Cromer, not far from where we live.
Oh, yeah, it's a Subway, isn't it, now?
It is a Subway. I was gutted when they tore that Burger King down. But I used to get on my bike. I used to get up, have a quick coffee, shower, make sure I was good enough to drive or ride. And then, as long as I could get the key in the hole, it was fun.
Fuck's sake.
I'm joking. I am joking, actually. I'd have got shot if I'd have tried to get on that thing in some states I was in.
I feel like your parents would have really fucking given you a serious telling off if you had tried to ride pissed.
I had quite a strict father who, would have kicked my ass.
There's no two ways about it, mate. You'd have been black and blue.
Yeah, literally. He was proper old school, my dad. Proper old country boy, farmer boy. He'd have beaten me shitless. But anyway, hop on the bike. When you're good enough, hop on the bike straight down to Burger King. A couple of burgers, a cold Coke, and a quick blast along the coast. Sort of.
Yeah.
But post kids, 4 a.m, when Enzo decides, where should I jump now? Daddy's chest.
Oh, bless him.
Yes, when you've gone to bed at 2, and then you've got a 3-year-old jumping on your chest at 4:30 a.m, and all you want to do is yak up. It's not a good thing. So we have to go tactical with this. Pretend you're still asleep. No, not really. You have to just man up and take it. Get up, lots and lots of coffee, lots and lots of OJ, and then I find a proper cooked breakfast. But the works. It's got to be the works. You've got to have continental. You've got to have full English.
You don't want just a proper cooked breakfast, then you also want your croissants and your pastries available for you.
Yeah, mate. Fresh made pain au chocolat.
There's no fucking about with your breakfast demands, is there?
No, mate. No, I make this, by the way.
Oh, okay. I thought you just expected other people to make them for you.
No. If I'm going to do breakfast, I am doing breakfast. The kitchen in my house is pretty much mine anyway. Sarah likes cooking, but I booted her out when we first moved in. It's like, no, get out of my kitchen. I do the cooking.
That's very good of you, mate. It's not that I don't cook, because I certainly do. In fact, I literally cook half the meals every single day. And sometimes I enjoy it, but most of the time I can't really be dealing with it. If someone else wants to take control of the kitchen, I'm very happy to just be like, do you know what? It's yours. Get on with it.
Oh, no, see, we get on really well then, because I spend half my time in the kitchen cooking. Love cooking. Baking. Cakes. Oh, cakes.
Yeah, that's very unusual, I think. Especially for a man. And it's certainly not a bad thing, because I'm quite envious. I wish I enjoyed cooking, and I especially wish I enjoyed baking more than I do, because I fucking love cake.
Mate, yeah, well, you've tasted some of my cakes that Enzo was giving you when you come around. In fact, he gets really annoyed when you don't come around now.
Because he can't give me cake.
No, basically, the backstory is this. One day, Sarah and Enzo had made cakes, my little boy, and Tim turned up. And the first thing Enzo did was give Tim cake. He toddles off to the kitchen and just comes back with a cake. And that happened for, 2 or 3 podcasts?
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 weeks, wasn't it? And then I came around and I was getting Tupperware boxes full of cake. It just expanded.
Quite happily going home with a full ball cake.
Yeah, it was good. Sure, he always appreciated it.
Oh, and then he buggered off to the Isle of somewhere. And Enzo was like, oh.
Yeah.
Tim, come back.
And I'm not sure how the cakes would survive in the post, sadly.
No, we could give it a go. But yeah, my hangover cures. Fresh, lots of breakfast, lots of selection. Nice coffee, percolated coffee, not instant as well.
That's fair.
Yeah, nice coffee. Cook your food properly. Don't just slap it in a frying pan. If you're going to do bacon, go see a butcher. Get the thick cut stuff. Bit of thyme, bit of garlic, nice bit of oil. Oof.
God bloody hell, mate. All those times you offered me bacon sandwiches in the past, I've been like, mate, I'm running late. I can't. We've got to go. I really regret it now. I didn't realise your bacon was this good.
Mate, you got to put the effort in.
Yeah, I'm pretty envious.
Food needs love, not just slapping on a plate.
Right. Anyway, I think we should call it there, Steve, because this has been a long rant about just our food and hangover cures. So
I've got
thank
a
you.
feeling there's going to be a few more of these during the winter.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, before we do end, we are thinking, Steve, aren't we, that we're going to do one more show next week, which will be
Yes.
our final show of the year. I think we'll take a week off over New Year.
Yes.
I think for that show, it's pretty handy. We've just been talking about hangovers. I'm just going to get pissed and talk.
I think we should we'll have a slightly MotoGP related podcast.
Oh, certainly. I'm sort of thinking is I might just scribble a load of topics down, get drunk, and just pull them out of a hat, and then we can just talk about that topic for like 5 minutes, and then pull another one out of the hat.
That's a damn cracking idea with a lot of booze.
With a lot of booze, and maybe keep it to like an hour because people don't want to listen to our drunken chat for what has been this episode's going to be well over an hour and a half by the time it's done.
Right, yeah, we'll set a timer. I've got a timer. We'll stick that going, and we'll go for it. We'll see where we get.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. So we'll do that. So if anyone actually has got anything they want us to talk about, then please get in touch. Likewise, if you've got any questions about hangover tips, we've covered hangover tips, but any questions at all, you can also get in touch. And you can find us on...
We are For the Love of MotoGP. Find us on Instagram, Twitter. We have a Facebook page, or you can email us at fortheloveofmotogp@gmail.com.
Yeah. So like I say, if there's any topics you want to hear us drunkenly chat about next week, then that is where to send those. But this week, after you've listened to the show, please do us a solid. Leave us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. It just helps us out. And it helps other people find us. However, if you want to keep us to yourself, because you're like a selfish bean and you just like having us as yours as such, then you can do that too. I guess that's fine. Just don't be creepy about it. Anyway, let's just call it, mate. So stay safe, guys. A fist bump. We don't like the elbow bumping. Mask it or casket, and we will see you all next week for our Christmas special. Goodbye.
Take care, guys.
Music is by Andrew Greenwood. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.